Hi, this is the Business Guy. When a U.S. person has an international entity or bank account, there are certain tax, FinCEN, Treasury, and FATCA forms and regulations to follow to keep in legal compliance. When I do a web search for offshore tax forms, as of this video, one of our websites shows up as the first free non-advertiser link in Google. As it says on offshorecorporation.com/tax forms, the page provides the following U.S. IRS offshore tax forms for your convenience. So I'm going to go over these forms with you one by one, and we're going to talk about each one of them and what they might mean to you. And if you appreciate this information, please help me out by clicking the like button so YouTube promotes this video. Thank you so much. And if you haven't already, you can click the subscribe button below so that when more videos come out like this one, you'll be up to date right away. So the purpose is in keeping with our policy of full legal and tax compliance. So first I'm going to go over a little background about offshore tax forms and all the disclaimery stuff. Then we're going to go over the tax forms themselves. Now I live by the philosophy, what's the best way not to get caught for doing something wrong? Don't do something wrong. I like sleeping well at night. I don't like having to worry and having to look over my shoulder. So I want to be fully legally and tax compliant, and I want to help you do the same. Now, this list of IRS tax forms is meant to provide helpful information and is for convenience only. It is for those who are involved with or contemplating offshore banking, offshore company formation, offshore trust formation, international business expansion, or offshore asset protection. Offshore tax compliance. The law allows for the ownership and the use of offshore corporations, companies, trusts, or offshore bank accounts. After all, think about it. Toyota Motor Corp, HSBC, Nokia, Novartis, Prudential, Royal Dutch Shell, that's Shell Gasoline, and Sony have all set up what is to them offshore companies in the U.S. to expand their businesses. And if you want to legally expand your business to a foreign market by setting up a company there, there's nothing wrong with that at all. However, there are tax laws that require compliance, and we fully recommend you follow them. Now, you may use the legal tools for asset protection or other benefits. Regardless, we urge you also to comply with the tax and legal codes in the jurisdictions which obligate you to do so. And by and large, the U.S. taxes its citizens and residents on their worldwide income. And this is also true even if one conducts the entire business overseas. Now, there is a tax break available for a portion of your income if you actually live abroad for 330 full days during a 12-month period, including a portion of the year in question. Worldwide taxation. Some believe that taxes are not due until they bring the money back to the U.S. This is not the case in most instances. Since 1964, U.S. people report profit generated in overseas companies they own or control. Moreover, this is even so, even if the money is in a foreign account, whether you repatriate the money, i.e. bring it back to the U.S. or not. It is still the case even if you generate a profit in a foreign company when owned or controlled by U.S. people. The IRS refers to this as a controlled foreign corporation, or CFC. Now here's how it works. U.S. people who own or control 50% or more of the company, we refer to this as a CFC. When a U.S. citizen or resident alien owns 10% or more of a CFC, they generally pay taxes on the corporate income as if they generated in their own names. Licensed tax advice. Now the information we're discussing here is a simple explanation, and there are some additional facets and some unique calculations, so seek licensed tax advice on everything we talk about here before you take any action on it. There's no guarantee that the IRS offshore tax forms we have listed or those we will discuss are the only forms or the latest forms required. So this is for informational purposes only, thus do not rely on this information as tax or legal advice. For tax advice, seek the advice of a knowledgeable, licensed accountant or attorney who specializes in offshore tax planning. That said, most accountants are not familiar with tax code involving offshore corporations and offshore bank accounts, so it is important to seek the counsel of an experienced CPA who can work hand in hand with your accountant and who understands foreign legal tools and tax forms, offshore corporations, and trust tax forms. Okay, we start off by typing offshore tax forms in Google, and when we do, at least on my browser, our own website comes up as the #1 site that's not an advertisement. So let's go ahead and click on this and see what we get. Okay, so as we scroll down here, let's go ahead and take a look at the first tax form listed. This is the 3520 form. 3520 form must be filed when you create a foreign grantor trust, and Regulation 16.3-1D1 stipulates that you should fill out the form 3520 on or before the 90th day after a U.S. person either creates a foreign trust or transfer any money or property to a foreign trust. And according to the instructions to Form 3520, it is due on the date of the filing of the taxpayer's income tax returns, including any extensions of time to file. So it may be advisable to file at the earliest of these two dates. Again, you want to check with the CPA on this and don't take anything that I'm telling you as tax advice. Now, Form 3520A is a parallel form to the Form 3520, and it says it must be filed every year if you have created a foreign trust. Form 3520A is due on the 15th day of the third month after the end of the trust tax year. And for a trust with a calendar year, the due date is March 15th. And it says here, the trust can request an extension by filing Form 2758 by the due date. Now, Form 5471 may be required if you or a foreign trust have an interest in a foreign corporation, a corporation offshore. So Form 5471 is due with the income tax return of the shareholder. And most individuals, that would be April 15th or the extended due date. So most corporations with a calendar year end, that is March 15th or the extended due date. Now, Form 8621, as it says, must be filed if you or your offshore trust is a controlled foreign corporation and have an interest in any offshore mutual fund or similar entity. Form 8621 is due with the income tax returns of the shareholder. And again, this is if your offshore trust or controlled foreign corporation has an interest in an offshore mutual fund. Form 8865 may be required if you or your foreign trust have an interest in a foreign partnership or LLC. In fact, so a lot of times when we set up offshore trusts, most of the time, it will own an offshore LLC. So for those people, it says 8865 is due with the income tax return of the shareholder. And for most individuals, like we said, that would be April 15th or the extended due date. For corporations with a calendar year-end date, that is March 15th or the extended due date. You can actually use a corporation to form a trust also. Form 926, corporations. And this is to report transfers of property to a foreign corporation. One files this with the applicable return, and this may be the Form 1040 for individuals or 1120 for corporations, etc. And this is usually April 15th for individuals. LLCs are disregarded entities. Form 8832, entity classification election, often is filed for a foreign LLC. Now keep in mind that U.S. LLCs don't typically need to file the 8832 form, but offshore LLCs, it is recommended that one files one in order for that offshore LLC to be classified as a sole proprietorship / disregarded entity or a partnership. So they say with LLCs, it doesn't happen by default if it's an offshore LLC, and a lot of CPAs recommend filing this form anyway just to be on the safe side. So this allows you to elect disregarded entity status, which CPAs often say that's best if it has passive investments, stock market investments, and the tax responsibility flows through to the owner, and so there is no tax at the company level, and you file this form within 75 days of the formation of the company or within 75 days of the beginning of the year in which one desires this election. Form 8858. This is transactions between foreign disregarded entities of a foreign tax owner and the filer or other related entities. Form 8858 is to report transactions between foreign disregarded entities, that's like an LLC where you've elected the disregarded entity tax status of a foreign tax owner and the filer or other related entities. You file this form with the applicable return, such as the 1040 for individuals or 1120 for corporations, including extensions. This is usually April 15th for individuals or March 15th for calendar year-end corporations. Following form many consider to be the most important offshore form to file, and this is the FBAR form. The FBAR form is an annual report, and it's due April 15th following the calendar year reported. Now, you're allowed an automatic extension to October 15th if you fail to meet the FBAR annual deadline of April 15th. So it's automatic. You don't even have to file it. So the form is due when in the previous year you have a foreign bank or financial account over $10,000. And this is if you have it in your personal name or if it's in a company name, you need to file this form, even if it's in a trust name. So this is technically not a tax form, but a U.S. Department of Treasury form, and this form is due following the taxable year of the taxpayer. Now, I believe this form was due previously on June 30th with no extension possible, and this is not the case anymore as of this video. Offshore tax form conclusion. We hope this information is helpful. Remember to talk with the CPA before you do anything we're talking about here. And things change from time to time, so if you're aware of any updates or information or new tax forms, please comment below or fill out a free consultation form on our website. So if you need to form an offshore company, trust, or bank account to protect your assets from lawsuits or expand your business, please be sure to fill out a consultation form or call the number on our website. So keep your business growing, keep it legal, and you'll sleep better at night. Please click like, subscribe, and share this video. See you next time. This is the Business Guy.